Hello, hello, hello. It is good to be back. Good evening, good afternoon for some, good morning, depending on when you'll be watching this specific live. My name is Nadine, and I am the founder and broker of Amazing Journey Realty. I am here and will be here every Sunday live at 5. This evening is a little different because I will be heading to a function shortly, commitment. Therefore, I'm coming on a little earlier. However, I'm sticking my ground. Live at 5, Sunday live at 5 is every Sunday at 5, with the exception of today, okay? So it's good to see you again. And just a brief overview for those who are just joining in. My name is Nadine Mendez, and I am the broker founder of Amazing Journey Realty, where we are committed and focused on and driven, sorry, for your success. And therefore, the aim of these sessions will be to try to build awareness, understanding as to what we do as real estate agents, how we can support you, also to help you in the process of the different transactions within which you will get in at some point in time in your life, whether it's buying or selling. And therefore, I intend to break things down as simple as I possibly can in order for you to get an understanding. So the aim is really to spend 10 to 15 minutes every Sunday to talk about hot, sometimes mundane topics that will be beneficial to you and for us to understand each other in our transactions. So before we get there, I just want to encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to like, share, subscribe, share with your friends, especially if it is going to be something that will be helpful for them here on. This is the third episode, and there will be more to come. Some will be exciting, some might be controversial. Also, please do leave a comment below for topics that you would mind me speaking about, and I will be able to address them. Perhaps not this session, however, the next available session I would do so. Okay? Now, without further ado, let's get to it. So, this week we'll be talking about um, fair housing as it relates to and landlords and sellers. So, transactions take place on a daily basis. And there's some things that we may overlook. Sometimes, we don't know out of ignorance, or it's we do know, but we still do what we do. And therefore, just want to build a little bit of understanding and awareness, and the fact that there are implications to some actions that we could take as sellers or landlords. And therefore, I'm just going to try to, as quickly as I can, to debunk those. So, just a brief background to let you know that the Federal Fair Housing Act essentially started in 1968, and it's an amendment. It was the first meaningful legislation that was passed. Essentially, it had to do with the Civil Rights Act of 1866, and therefore it was an amendment to that to include fair housing, where housing is essentially for all parties, right? Once they can afford, once you're able to provide the objective criteria for these areas, then it doesn't matter who the individual is, they should have some access to fair housing. And the Fair Housing Act has been amended over the years, 1974 and again in 1988, and it has been amended over the period to this day. You might have heard of some. There are some states that may practice certain laws, and others might be more extensive over others. I am from New Jersey, and therefore I will be sharing as it relates to New Jersey. But the federal Fair Housing Act essentially talks about protected classes. All right. Now, bear in mind that race, color, originating from the 1866 Civil Rights Act, is no exception. So no matter what there is, any discrimination against race or color, there's absolutely no exceptions. Now, the protected classes in general that has been amended over the years include race, color, religion, sex or sexual orientation, handicap or disability, familial status, which essentially means individuals or custodians or family with children under 18 years or breastfeeding moms, as well as national origin. It is a bit more, this is a federal, so it can be a bit more extensive for other states. New Jersey is one such. And for New Jersey, essentially, it includes the following. All right, so I'm just going to read from the from the Office of the Attorney General. There's a general letter that essentially is at the Attorney General's department, and they talk about in itemizing all the different protected classes as it relates to New Jersey. So it's called the Law Against Discrimination. And under the Law Against Discrimination, it is illegal to discriminate against prospective or current buyer or tenant because of the actual or perceived race, religion, national origin, nationality, ancestry, pregnancy or breastfeeding, sex, gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, familial status, which I explained earlier, custody of a child, etc., disability, liability for service and in the armed forces of the United States, marital status, civil union status, or domestic partnership status. It is also illegal to discriminate against prospective or current buyer or tenant because of a source of lawful income. Okay, so income is also very much included. We're going to try and itemize those a bit, explain a bit more. Now, including printed advertisements, so we have to be careful how we advertise, and online postings, even using Facebook, whatever it is, or any other social media that you could possibly use. We have to be careful what we put out there as sellers and landlords. Okay, now it applies to a broad range of activities, some of which I've highlighted. And the Fair Housing Act, we must, as much as we possibly can, landlords and sellers, equal housing opportunity. We must do this in accordance with the Fair Housing Law, and it is illegal, as I said, to discriminate against any person. Particularly, there's absolutely no exemption for race and color. Okay. Religion, sex, handicap, etc. Now, it is in the sale or rental of housing, in advertising, as mentioned earlier, in financing and housing, for appraisals even, we have to be careful, in the provision of real estate brokerage services. So we have certain duties to uphold when we're dealing with you, as well as it's helpful for you to work with a realtor so that we can help you to or guide you through the process to prevent any lawsuits, right? Because there are sanctions for violating any of these rules. All right. So we talk about all of those now, just to give you an overview of the different types. So a few of them I'm going to mention. Discrimination. Again, we talk about race and color. There's no exception. Yeah. For sellers, if it is that you have several offers, your offers, in deciding which offer you're going to be choosing, one should not be choosing based off a specific type of person that is presented to you. And it might not be practiced in all states, but in New Jersey, we are not allowed to provide like what they call love letters, for example, for you to have an idea what type of person is purchasing your property, right? It has to be objective. You're making a decision based on the qualification of that buyer, not who that buyer is or what that buyer practices. So we have to be very cognizant of those facts and act accordingly. Now, if it is, for example, just giving you an example, there were just one offer, and that offer is from a specific buyer. You name that background, and that offer is what you wanted. It's at asking or above asking. What would have been your reason for refusing that offer? Okay, so if that person is qualified, it means therefore you would need to look at it objectively and not at anything else, because the sanctions are great. Okay, so hopefully we can bear those in mind. Another thing to take into consideration, and this goes for landlords as it relates to, mind you, same thing with race and color and income. So if a landlord were to do the same, as mentioned earlier, there that would cause some serious sanctions, the or ramifications. Just bear in mind that income for landlords, we cannot discriminate against a specific type of income that is presented to you. For New Jersey, where we are accustomed to, or we know of Section 8. For other states, they may use other types of federal support or supplements to individuals who are not able to afford but wouldn't mind living in a specific neighborhood or community or complex. And if that person is being supported by the government as it relates to a specific approval for subsidy, that cannot be, you cannot discriminate against that, all right, because it's considered a lawful source of income. There are other areas that one would have to take into consideration again as it relates to source of income. Hang on a second. Commercial break. Commercial break. I'm losing my train of thought here, but I should be able to take care of that. All right, let's go into the penalties while my train of thought comes back. So, certain penalties according to the federal laws, if it is that you are found guilty of any specific offense, the offender may report to the relevant authorities within whichever state you're in about this. And if it's proven that you are or you have violated any one of the laws just highlighted, then you are liable. You may be subjected to certain fines. And the penalties, it can be for your first offense up to $10,000. Second offense, up to $25,000. And any offense over that could be up to $50,000. All right, and that excludes any other charges that the plaintiff may have against you, or the offender may have against you, if it caused emotional damage, if it caused loss of income. All of these things you have to take into consideration. Now, drawing back, and my previous YouTube and otherwise videos, there are disclaimers. I am not a legal expert, but as a broker dealing with real estate, we must know these things, and we must be able to share these with you. All right, we have to ensure that you are practicing within the realm that will prevent you or us from being held liable for discrimination. And as a result, we have to share these with you. All right. So bearing in mind, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a tax expert, and this specific channel essentially deals with positive vibes. It's really to build awareness so that we can have a better way of doing things, of transacting business, of understanding each other, and for successful outcomes on all sides. Okay. All right. Another thing that in terms of discrimination, individuals who may have a disability. we have to be careful as landlords. If someone who wishes to move to a specific area, perhaps for work, and they want to be at your property, even if, say, for example, let's just use someone who's blind and they have to use a guide dog, all right? In situations like those, a no pet policy is absolutely non-existent. You cannot discriminate against someone who wants to be at your place with a guide dog or a service dog. Okay, one has to bear in mind that these are animals that are trained, especially trained to help individuals who are disabled, in the case of a blind person, for example, to help them to get by. So we understand that there might be some possibility of damage, scratches on the floors, etc. However, you still cannot discriminate. Perhaps the owner could pay for damages in case it's major damage, but essentially it is not something that would be considered. All right, so just bear those in mind. We cannot be very hard on any specific individual about pets. Emotionally support pets. That too, their laws are being changed. It's evolving as we go. But in the case of emotionally support pets, there might be some exceptions, but there's no guarantee. All right. One who has a tenant who has a prospective tenant that has an emotionally support pet, it's helpful for them to upfront, inform you. But if they don't, that's another thing that one has to take separately. But if they do present to you that they have an emotional support pet, and you have this no pet policy, mind you, that's only if you are perhaps an owner occupied. So that's one exception. For example, if you own one unit of 1 to 4 family properties, then there might be some exceptions in discriminating, for example, as it relates to pets, right? No pet policy is not hard and fast, not set in stone as it relates to emotional support pets. Individuals may have doctor's report to present, all right, in order to have this specific animal with them. I fully understand, and people in general will understand if it's, say, for example, a dangerous or perceived to be dangerous animal. You still have a choice to determine whether or not this type of reptile can be with other tenants or yourself, right? So this question there, it's a not very black and white area. However, we still have to be cognizant. Another thing to take into consideration, I might be leaving out a few, but bear with me. What I will do in future, I probably will do this over where it's more concise and more effective for you. All right. So essentially, I have a feeling I'm leaving out something, but I think it should be fine for now. Just bear in mind, if you need any more information about the laws against discrimination, because it's a myriad, it also includes individuals with criminal offenses, and how do you treat those as landlords, even as sellers trying to sell a property. You may have to be careful based on the Megan's Law how we handle individuals who may come in wanting to know more about the area. One has to be cognizant as to how we present what we know or what is said in the area about anyone with a specific offense. All right. So one has to take into consideration several things, and it's more in depth, but I'm trying to give an overview as possibly as I possibly can. So just bear in mind, for more information about the laws against discrimination or the FCHA, then you could write to them directly, or you could go on the website. That's www.njcivilrightsnow.com. Sorry, Civil Rights Now. Let me repeat this. And www.njcivilrights.gov. Okay, so you could possibly check on that to see where, if there's anything that you need to know before you list a property. And particularly, it's helpful though to work with a realtor that is connected to the National Association of Realtors, because we are expected to guide you through this process. We provide you actually from the get-go with the information to a list of information that should help to guide you as you decide to sell or buy property, or sell or lease properties, that is. All right. I'm not sure why my train of thought is going today, but I think what I may do is redo this session with you. I do have another appointment, and maybe that's why it's a little weird for me today. Bear with me, but we'll definitely get this sorted over time. Hi, for those who have joined, good to see you. And it's always a pleasure to speak with you on certain matters. I did promise no more than 20 minutes. So I believe my time has passed. Let's see here. My time has passed, I believe, here. Yes, it's 2:32. So I am going to wrap it up for now, and I will try to redo this. If not, then we'll take on another topic later on. I think I may do this next week, so it is more concise. Sometimes you think you have it all at the top of your head, and then later on you're like, oh my God, I forgot that, or I forgot this. But definitely, I will be speaking further in this regard, because it's important for you to know and to understand, particularly when you're handling the general public. It's helpful to know we can't discriminate against anyone for any reason at all. Love all. That's all I would say. Try to love all, right? One thing I wanted to leave with you. Normally, before I leave, I will send a little word of encouragement and or motivation for the week. So this week, my motivation is from Martin Luther King Jr. It's a quote. It says, "You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step." All right, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step, as I'm doing right now. This is not something I love to do, but I'm doing it, right? Take the first step. And with that said, I wish you an amazing week. Hope everything works out well for you and yours. And take care till next time. Have a blessed one. Bye. Okay, stopping here. One moment. One moment. Let's do this one. Okay. So now I'll be able to end the stream. Have a great one. Take care.